Football Takes a Heavy Hit by Taylor Baker. For endless years, the game of American football has been known and ranked as the United States' #1 beloved sport. More specifically speaking, the professional level of football, known as the National Football League, is both celebrated and adored year in and year out. According to an ESPN reported survey, approximately over 65% of Americans avidly watch NFL football. And in quoting Forbes.com, they say, this year revenues for the National Football League was approximately $9 billion, proving that American football is the #1 sport in America, if not in the world. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, even believes that by the year 2027, the league can reach $24 billion. But in the year 2014, the numbers in youth football programs have significantly decreased amongst the years. What is the cause for such low player numbers? Parents. Across the United States, a trend is now being seen as moms and dads are pulling their children for participating in the game of football in fear of severe injuries, specifically concussions that take place at the higher levels of the game. Such a problem is so increasing that ESPN has created a program named Outside the Lines, a program that is currently traveling across the United States to run programs and educate parents, hoping to provide adequate and proper information to persuade U.S. parents that football is in fact a very safe sport. Recently, Outside the Lines surveyed 57% of parents were less likely to allow their sons 15 years old or younger to participate in football in the year 2014. The majority of the parents' fears stem from the injuries and hits portrayed on the television, specifically seen within the NFL. Many fear that their sons will endure life-threatening blows and concussions while taking part in such a contact sport. So what are the parents actually saying about all of this? I came across several interviews that featured both moms and dads in which they present their reasons as to why they wish to withhold their children from playing football. The most striking was a story of a father named Shane Alexander, who is pictured here with his family, who grew up in Texas, a heavily saturated town of football fanatics. Alexander explains his entire life he was raised around football. He played football as a child and even into college, and later becoming an avid NFL fan of the Dallas Cowboys. He admits that he refuses to allow his own sons to take part in the sport. He says, "I can't keep my boys or any of my kids safe from everything, but there's just certain things that I think are obvious ones to stay away from. And increasingly, I think football is one of those things," said the 35-year-old pastor. Other parents have mentioned similar fears about their kids playing in the game of football. "I'm afraid of the injuries. I don't want my son to become too aggressive," a mother from Maryland said. And a father from New Mexico says, "Football is a sport in which severe injuries can happen when a child is not properly coached. Most youth football coaches are concerned only with winning." And a previous football fan, who is now a mother from Colorado, reports, "It has made me more concerned about the hard hits. I do not enjoy them the way that I did before." But are the parents right in fearing for the safety of their children? ESPN reported that 3,000 former NFL players are currently suing the league on allegations that they withheld medical information from them pertaining to severe head injuries. Also, many ex-pro players have been diagnosed with chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE, and which is a brain disease that contributes to the development of dementia. In continuation, many reported NFL concussions and CTE have been considered to be serious factors of suicide cases of former NFL players. 94% of NFL fans in a survey said concussions were a serious problem within the NFL. 18% of that 94% said that the concussion debate has made them less likely to follow the NFL and the overall game of football. Even pro NFL players have admitted they didn't want their own sons to participate in the game, due to the injury risks they themselves have endured while playing. So how is this all relevant to what we've learned in Religion 103? The decline in youth football players could quickly become detrimental to the future of football on all levels of play. If the younger athletes are being removed from the game by their parents, the future athlete pool will increasingly shrink down. What will this mean for the future of football? If the athlete pool continues to lessen, the players to choose from for higher levels of football play will become increasingly limited and a less talented group of boys. Furthermore, if the game of American football eventually declines in numbers due to the removal of sons by their parents due to injury scares, then the overall cultural spectacle of the game could possibly diminish. In correlation to religion and sports, the cultural spectacle of American football brings about a sense of community and patriotism amongst the entire nation. It builds a sense of camaraderie, where individuals of all different walks of life can join together in honor and celebration of the great game of football. The cultural spectacle gives way for people to connect and share common ground on the basis of sport, morals, rules, competition, and victory. If the violence and injuries of the game continue to scare parents away, will this loss in players be detrimental to the overall cultural spectacle of the game and ultimately the United States? Will this epidemic-like trend change the future game of football as a whole? Are the numbers and/or degree of NFL injuries enough to keep parents and their children from playing the great game of football?